Inside this box, I have the Puma 1, 19.1 low, technically. What's going on, guys? Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the brand new and extremely underrated Puma 1 19.1 low in the gorgeous Eclipse Pack colorway. Now, not only do I think that these are extremely underrated, they are arguably the best value for money top-end option currently on the market, and that's partially due to the fact that this is actually the cheapest top-end model available from Nike, Adidas, and Puma, bearing a retail price of $180 US, which, don't get me wrong, that is by no means cheap or affordable, but considering that a lot of top-end models are $275 these days, $180 for a top-end model, especially one as good quality and as capable as the 119.1 low, is really impressive. Or it just points to the fact that maybe football boots are too expensive. Leave your opinions down below. So what I want to do in today's video is go over all the details of the 119.1 low, talk about how it compares to the mid-cut variation of the boot, because there are more differences than I think a lot of people realize, and essentially come to the conclusion as to why I like these so much. So much so that they actually have cracked my current top 5 rotation of football boots that I wear when I'm not testing out new products. So if you want to learn more about these, including how they fit and feel on feet, please stick around and watch the entire video. And if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, I'll leave a little pop-up on screen, or you can click the first link down below. That'll take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $180 retail price. If you guys do end up enjoying today's video and perhaps want to see more reviews of some less popular football boots that don't perhaps get the attention that they deserve, please support this video with a like. And if you're new here watching for the first time and don't want to miss out on future content from me, be sure to hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. I think it's fair to say that modern football boots have become more complicated than they perhaps need to be. If you look at the regular mid-cut variation of the Puma 1 19.1 as an example, there's a lot going on, there's a lot of different materials, there's a lot of different elements that you could argue don't necessarily need to be there for the boots to be as good as they could possibly be. But a lot of companies feel the need to work in a bunch of, dare I say, gimmicky technologies to try and drive interest to the products. In the case of the 119.1 low, it is very different from the regular mid-cut variation, not only because it's cheaper, not only because it's low cut, but it's actually deceptively simple in its overall design. Now, unlike the mids, the low-cut version of the Puma 1 is only available in the leather upper variation, where you'll find kangaroo leather basically from this seam forward on the lateral side, running all the way through the toe box and forefoot area, cutting off at this kind of weirdly placed seam here on the medial side. The leather that you'll find is kangaroo leather, to be specific. It's soft, it's flexible, it's backed by an internal support cage that has this new wavy design that is kind of an upgrade, if you want to call it that, for this new generation of Puma 1. And you'll also find as a strip along the forefoot and toe box area that sandpaper-like texturing to reinforce the bond between the upper and the sole plate for the sake of durability. From the leather back, however, that's where the Puma 1 low is completely different from the mid-cut variation, and that you're not going to find any of the usual Evo knit material. Instead, you have mesh-based synthetics with fuse that ultimately just make for a much more simple feel and design. Dare I say, traditional. It almost seems like every new boot these days either has a one-piece upper, some kind of a fancy lacing system, perhaps even no laces at all. But what Puma has done here is as simple as it gets. The sides of the upper go straight up and down. Once it gets close to the middle, it completely splits, where it leaves a giant gap. That gap is filled in by a tongue with the laces running straight up and down directly through the middle of the upper. It sounds complicated when I explain it that way, but basically it's a central lacing system with a normal tongue. In my opinion, this is refreshingly simple. I think the best way to sum up the design of this boot is that it's everything that you need and nothing that you don't. I love the fact that Puma has kept things so simple with this model, and I guess the price does reflect that to a certain extent. And I want to be honest with you guys, because I often complain about this style of football boot where you have the leather at the toe and then the midfoot is synthetic. It does make for a change up in regards to the touch, where it's a little bit inconsistent, super soft and premium at the toe, and then not quite as nice through the midfoot, which for some people is going to be an issue. If you're looking for that kind of more traditional true leather boot experience, I think something like a Nike Tiempo Legend 7 Elite is a better option for you. But if you just want something that has, dare I say, the old school F50 Adizero models with the leather upper, that type of feel, that's kind of what Puma has given us here for a very, very reasonable price. Moving to the rear, of course, this is the Puma 119.1 low. So of course the boots do feature a low cut construction, which is completely different in the heel area versus the mid-cut model. Obviously a lot more traditional. It does still have the external plastic heel counter, which we'll get to in just a second. And the back does come up perhaps a little bit higher than it needs to, but for the most part, it looks and feels like a regular low-cut boot. Internally, the heel liner, the very back as well as the sides, lined in this super soft synthetic suede that I really do like the feel of. As far as the insole is concerned, it is fully removable. I'll give you guys a quick look at that. And you can see it features this standard black mesh lining on top, and it's made from a single layer of black foam. Moving to the sole plate and stud pattern, this is their Rapid Sprint sole plate, which is exactly the same as what you'll find on the mid-cut variation. Again, it does have that external plastic heel counter and is, again, very reminiscent of some of those older F50 Adizero Sprint frames, kind of a lot like what we see on the current X18 boots from the Adidas brand as well. In regards to overall feel, I would argue that this is a little bit more flexible, but at the same time has a nice solid feel to it overall. And if I'm being honest, I just prefer this over any of the sole plates on offer from the Adidas brand right now. Again, I just think that this layout is very underrated. And then as far as the FGAG stud pattern is concerned, it's very similar to what you'll find on the Puma Futures. Some slight variation in the shape of the studs, some extra angles on the bladed support studs at the base of the forefoot and the heel, but for the most part, the traction is very good, very aggressive on firm natural grass. As an AG specific stud pattern, I kind of feel like the studs are maybe a little bit too long, but for the most part, it's not unsafe to use on AG surfaces. So the fact that they are FGAG at all and the traction is good, I definitely think is a plus. If you weren't excited about these boots up until this point, this might change your mind. In a size 9.5 US, the Puma 119.1 low weighs in at a remarkably lightweight 6.8 ounces, which for comparison's sake is about half an ounce lighter than the mid-cut variation of the boot, and pretty much as light, if not a little bit lighter, than a pair of Mercurial Vapor 12 Elites in the exact same size. Yes, the flagship, top of the line, arguably most desirable speed boot out there, this $180 Puma boot that nobody knows about, is just as light and arguably more comfortable as well. And that's not to take anything away from the Mercurial. It's very special in its own way and feels a lot different in comparison to these. But considering that the Puma One line is more or less the speed boot offering from the Puma brand, as light as the mid-cut variation is, the low-cut version is that much lighter. So I've swapped out the stock black laces, which look great. It's a blackout upper, the black laces make sense, but I've changed them for some white and black grid pattern SR4U replacement laces, which obviously go with the white sole plate, and it adds that cool grid pattern, which I'm personally a big fan of. It just makes the boots that much more unique, and if you're looking to change up the style of your boots in an inexpensive way, the place to go and do that to get some laces for yourself is www.sr4ulaces.com. There'll be a little pop-up on screen as well as a link down below in the description if you're interested in a pair for yourself. So be sure to go ahead and check that out. On feet, the Puma 119.1 low feels excellent. Because of the simple central lacing system with a regular old tongue, you end up with a very familiar feel the second that you put these on. There's really not a lot of stiffness to the mesh-based synthetic through the midfoot, and the leather at the toe also feels really soft as you wear them in. They of course get a little bit softer, and overall, it's just a very comfortable boot. In comparison to the mid-cut variation, they pretty much feel completely different despite having the same Rapid Sprint sole plate. The shape, for the most part, I would say is similar, but the way that it grabs your foot through the midfoot area is just not quite as tight, and overall, the boots just feel wider in general, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a totally different fit and feel, especially towards the rear where you have a standard low-cut construction. Super soft suede heel liner, grips your heel really nicely, very comfortable, great overall lockdown, all things considered. As far as width is concerned, if you have wide feet, this is probably going to be your best option out of all the current top-end Puma boots because they will legitimately fit just about anybody. And as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US. and the fit and length is pretty much perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. So in conclusion, this is one of those boots that is very difficult for me to criticize. The kangaroo leather is great quality. There's not a lot of it, but the synthetic material running through the midfoot feels relatively soft and does make for a moderately consistent touch on the ball. It also makes the boots a lot more responsive than if the boots were entirely made out of leather. I appreciate the simplicity of the design. They're extremely comfortable. They're super lightweight. It has an FGAG stud pattern that legitimately provides great traction, and they're $180. If I really wanted the best leather boot out there with all the modern tech, I'd probably go and buy a Tiempo Legend 7 Elite. But those are $230, $50 more expensive than the Puma 1 19.1 Low. Are they $50 better? I would argue no. So again, in terms of value for money, this is one of the best value for money top-end options out there, if not the best. I just don't see how you beat this. It really is the one. Anyways, guys, that's it for my review. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. Again, if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, you can click the first link down below. That'll take you to the review page on my website where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $180 retail price. If you have any questions, as always, leave them down below in the comments, and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you as soon as I possibly can. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.